Well, let's hope this one won't have any microtransactions like the last one, and its only benefit being it's just made in Greece. Okay, so first problem I see is this setting, and I'm really am having this weird feeling about it. Like they've basically taken the Kattegat village from Vikings and used it in this game. More on that a little bit later. Here's another interesting thing. This axe right here could be a battle axe. Maybe not. Looks like a Danish axe, probably. But let's get on to other things. Okay, we see this guy take his wood axe. And now, let's go to the other thing I want to talk about. Viking act as a crutch for medieval and sometimes fantasy settings. And well, that comes from the fact of that there are a lot of stereotypes that come with the concept and idea of Vikings. For example, the first one, they come from a barren, frozen waste, like in the Banner Saga, which is true if you consider the far north reaches, but most of it wasn't. Or the Skyrim Horned Helmet. I think everybody knows about that one already. And interesting remark here. The fur they have on their armor, um, it's weird in of itself, mostly because of the fact that, well, fur is used for in colder climates, so you can get warmer. Makes sense. And usually have fur on the inside. But apparently, one stereotype that I see a lot, and I could really connect this to Warhammer Fantasy that has their Marauders, who have also weird design in of themselves, but I'll get to that one later. Why do they have fur on the outside of their clothes? I understand the inside. The inside is the place it should really be, but no, not on the outside. It doesn't have any benefit. You might argue that could act as an extra layer of protection against blows, but I hardly think it makes any difference at this point. Let's go on and see what happens next. This guy right here, this guy is Tyr. Now he is a god from Norse mythology that lost his arm to Fenrir. So it's disputed if he lost his forearm or just the his hand starting from the wrist down. Yeah, that one's we can talk about that in way more detail after. Now I don't have the sound put on for copyright reasons and well, safety reasons. Now they talk about Vikings being okay. This is the thing I wanted to show you. I'm gonna get back to that other point soon. The mountains, the village by the water, tree settlement, whatever it is. Yeah, it's basically Kattegat. This is an image that looks exactly like Kattegat. And well, that might be, you might say, oh, that's just a generic image they made, they pull out of the game. I am quite skeptical of this. Oh, the Viking longships. Now, honestly, the Viking longships are one of that thing you can't really miss. From all these stereotypes, the Vikings, this is the one I saw nobody do wrong before. Also, medieval England. And stop right here. Normally, Vikings raided. It's true, they were barbarians of some sorts, but then again, medieval Europe of that time wasn't more cultured either, so there's a point for that one. What you see right here is basically the main Viking, which I'm gonna guess is gonna be the protagonist of the game. You're gonna play as that guy. Leaves a mother and its daughter to run. Indeed, I'm not gonna doubt that there might have been Vikings that cared for that, but most of the times they would have just taken them as slaves. Also, nice burning village. Here is another important aspect that we see. Now, after they burn the village, I think this is supposed to be implied that they are rebuilding. They're making their farmlands. They're making a new home for themselves. And this is, well, the first step into Anglo-Saxon culture and how it develops. Before the the Normans reach of England and bring its values to it. So you can say is the settlement, the beginning of a proto England by 1012 or 13. Pre-Stamford Bridge wars and battles. Now let's move on from this one. Again, the statue of Tyr with the missing hand. At some point. Okay, this guy is interesting. He has a lot of crosses. One on the background, one on his chair. There's a missing piece on his chair. On his wardrobe, we have crosses. By the looks of it, and what he's gonna do after he signs that thing that basically is calling for war, my guess is that right here we have Alfred the Great. Now, Alfred the Great is, to put it in some terms, is a Wessex ruler. He was a ruler of Wessex, probably the most important one, besides Aethelwulf, but that's another topic and another later, which much more diverse chances of success in battles and policies. Now, Alfred the Great has made its name. He's made his name known as a fighter against the Vikings. He basically fought them tooth and nail, like almost everywhere he could. Now, this sort of puts the game around 817 to 899. Now, since he's alive and he seems quite young, it's probably before he died in 899. So, around the 870s. Now, the Roaring 70s, that's a good age to take into consideration. I'll see. What else is this going to bring us? Yeah, they send it here. Yeah. Come on. Fog. Interesting trope in itself. Now, what I see, these Vikings kind of seem to have forgone the concept of basic armor. Now, when most people think about Vikings, they don't really think about armored folk. Like, they had armor in the first place, besides their shield. But they kind of used armor. I mean, it was either they used multiple layered clothes to weaken blows, or they used chainmail. And these guys, they don't have even one helmet. And this guy's face, now he's the clear definition why you need a helmet. Also, the fact that he looks like Rollo from Vikings seems to be a good choice. I mean, I agree with that one. Okay, so they reach shore. And tactical mistake right now. There was fog there. That means the Vikings didn't know what they were going into. What does the smart person of Wessex do? Because let's be honest, they can fight Wessex. Decides to use a fire volley on them. By this way, giving away the surprise you had. The element of surprise is very important in battles. And while the Vikings thought they had the element of the surprise, they wouldn't have liked it if it was the other way around and they were surprised. This just puts everything on equal footing right now. And of course, they're going to use their shields to protect themselves. Vikings were very good users of the shield wall, and they had different tactics for that. Pause. The long ships shouldn't have burned like that unless they were done with tar or something. This shield right here, this is a kite shield. This is a mistake. Now, the shield that Wessex has shouldn't really exist in the time period of Alfred the Great. They're before, no, they're after the Battle of Stamford Bridge, which is in a period that, well, Alfred the Great was kind of dead back then. Like, he had almost 100 years and something of being dead. So that doesn't make sense why they would use this here. Also, rank and formations be damned. Nobody cares about them. Everybody just clashes with each other into glorious melee one-on-one combat. Okay, that decapitation right there is an interesting subject if we are to consider it and talk more in length about it. An axe, or a Viking axe, usually is more thinner. The area you can hit is smaller. Now, you gotta have very good precision to use one of those in such a way that you could just make someone's head fly off. Now, with a sword or something else that has a long blade, that could work, but with that one, no. Okay, now if you can just bam. What I want to watch now is something that I missed. The spears. Spears are a very important weapon. Spears and pikes. And I don't think they get enough recognition when it comes to video games in general. They're not the best weapons. But in fact, they were quite useful for Vikings. Also, the fact that it glows to that guy and makes him spin can only show us that that Viking lady or whatever it was had a really great aim. Okay, now we see them just... Okay. Another little mistake. The moment you run with the spear and you just get stuck into your enemy, that's the moment you lose your weapon. You technically don't want that. You normally don't want that. It's not the best course of action for yourself. And we can see this guy down. This is the guy that was with Alfred, so... And here goes Rollo. You know, now that I look about it, even not only his face, but his whole character design looks a lot like Rollo. Yeah, maybe I just want to see it way too much. That's all. Okay, our character comes. Bam! Nice spear throw. I mean, axe throw, but whatever. It's as realistic as can be, right? Okay. His axe, which I think was a great war axe, a Danish war axe, it has stars on the tip of it. Yeah, like that is a mishap star with the 3 edges or something. Okay, that's just an unrealistic design. And so was the design of our main character, because this guy right here, we'll get to him because I want to talk about the main character's design. Okay, now he's dual wielding because of course he is. Dual wielding is awesome when you're an assassin. His design as a character shows us a lot of buckles, if we can just find it. That's Odin, of course. Odin will come to great battles, they say. Yeah, he becomes a raven. Yeah, he's how I know it. Yeah, Odin fights with us, he says. Now that's a nice war hammer. Proper looking war hammer. Okay, now everyone's scared. And here comes this Centurion. Vikings the series implies this a lot about Alfred's grandfather or something. I can't remember. That he was a staunch Roman follower and he wanted to bring back the ideas of the Roman Empire. This guy is basically a centurion because of his weird little helmet and his plumage on it, or fluff, whatever. Also, if you could just see a shot of that sword, that's another piece of inaccuracy they have for the Wessex army. That sword is way too huge for this time period. It's around the 1300 period, the 3000 period, whatever you want to call it. It's double-handed sword and it's immense. Also, the fact that he could just use that sword to make him fly like that, and the sword is still alive. I mean, as alive as a sword can be, is, well, surprising that it's not broken. Of course, the old David versus Goliath thing. He's very strong and big, but ours is agile and smart. The Viking. Also, these champion duels. They're a fun little thing in fantasy settings, where one champion from one side and the other just go and fight each other, and then the one that dies loses and whatever. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally a fight won't be stopped just because two generals want to fight each other into melee combat because they're bored of watching it happen. And yep, proving his might against the Viking. Let's see. And that's okay. I don't like this as a game design, as a game choice. The Assassin's Blade. Normally, the Assassin's Blade was on the other way around, and it made sense. In the first game, it's made specifically, and even the second, that you should remove a finger because of it. But apparently, you can just put it the other way around and not remove any finger. Some sort of weird adaptations. And that's how David defeated Goliath. Okay. The first Assassin's Creed games, the first one and two, they were marvelous in their way to depicting sceneries and cultures and people. While not truly accurate historically, they tried their best to reach that point as much as they could. But I think somewhere along the way, this thing just got buried under cool armors and belts and double wielding swords or weapons that shouldn't be really double wielded, but why not? And I think that's where the series is taking its great hits. I won't really be surprised if there'll be some sort of weird mechanic in it. Usually there always is one in this game. What I would be surprised to see is accurate historical accuracy, because this seems to be a problem with these games. Well, yes, indeed, you are supposed to take them as not really historical games per se, as you would take a Total War game like Shogun or Rome. There are still you can still judge them by the way they treat history and its accuracy towards it. How much they tend to be accurate with that. And the Wessex Army just had this weird little thing where they had a shield from the 12th century, a sword from the 4th century, 14th century, 11th century, Yeah, it's a mishmash that they're trying to do here. My honest opinion, we're just gonna see another case of inaccurate representation history of history by Ubisoft. Another game might be good. That's something we will have to see.